Hey there and welcome. Today we're diving into something that is absolutely changing the game for people thinking about their careers after 50, starting your own online business. If you're looking for that next chapter, one where you are in the driver's seat, you're in exactly the right place.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? This whole idea of taking back control. I'm not just talking about money, but about your time, your energy, your life. That's the real fire behind so many people who decide, you know what, I'm going to build something for myself.
So let's just get right to the big question. Where in the world do you even start? The online space can feel like this huge, confusing maze of hype and people telling you a million different things. But don't you worry, we're going to cut right through all that noise and lay out a clear path for you.
First things first, we have to completely reframe how we think about age in business. Forget that old idea that being an entrepreneur is only for kids in their 20s. Your decades of experience, that's not a liability. It is your single greatest asset. It's your superpower.
Okay, now look at this. Just 2x. On its own, it doesn't seem like much, right? But what this number represents in the world of starting a business after 50, well, it's a massive advantage. Let me show you what I mean.
It means exactly this. Solid research shows that a 50-year-old founder is two times as likely to build a runaway success of a company as a 30-year-old. I'm talking about the kind of success that leads to going public or a major acquisition. So the data is crystal clear. You are statistically in your absolute prime to start something new and crush it.
And look, this isn't about some vague life experience thing. We're talking about real, concrete business assets. Think about it. Decades of solving tough problems, a network of contacts you've built over a lifetime, and a deep understanding of how entire industries actually work, not just how they look on paper. These are your unfair advantages.
So now that we know you've got this superpower, let's get down to brass tacks. The online world is just filled with shiny objects and promises of getting rich overnight. Your wisdom is the perfect filter to see right through that hype and focus on what's real.
Here's the first huge myth we've all seen. Instant passive income. But the reality is that real, sustainable online income is built on authentic trust, and that stuff takes time. Take Jacqueline, a gardener from Florida. She shared that it took her months, before she saw any real sales. Why? Because she wasn't just pushing products, she was building a community that genuinely trusted her advice.
Another trap people fall into is chasing trends. Trying to sell whatever gizmo is popular this week. But as entrepreneur Wendy Nolan points out, long-term success comes from solving a real problem that people are already looking for answers to. Don't guess what people want to buy. Find out what they actually need.
And this brings me to a huge one. This idea that you have to go viral to succeed. You don't. In fact, it's almost always more profitable to serve a very specific niche community. Remember Jacqueline focusing just on Florida gardeners? Or how some business models focus only on local businesses? You're not trying to beat the entire internet. You're just trying to be the go-to person for a dedicated group.
So what does this actually look like? Well, let's glance at 3 popular ways to do this. First, you've got affiliate marketing. That's where you recommend other people's stuff for a commission. It's awesome for bonus income, but the catch? You don't control the product or the price. Then there are digital products. You create something once, like a guide or a course, and you can sell it over and over. Super scalable, but you really need to have an audience first. And then there's digital leasing, where you build digital things like websites and then rent them out to local businesses. The competition is way lower because you're focused on a local market, not the whole world.
All right, we've busted the myths. Now, let's start building the foundation. This isn't about chasing the next shiny thing. It's about using timeless, solid business principles in the digital world. This is your blueprint for a business that's built to last.
Think of these 5 steps as your personal roadmap. First, get your financing in order. And please, don't raid your retirement funds. A really smart move is to start this as a side hustle, to test the idea without a ton of risk. Of course, you'll want to brush up on any new skills you might need. And this next one, this is your specialty. Use all that life experience to pivot and navigate challenges. And finally, the real key to freedom is building systems. Now that last point, building systems, is so important. When I say automation, don't think about complicated tech. Think about it the way Wendy Nolan does. She calls it her freedom machine. It's a system that works for you even when you're not working. She tells this great story about being at a water park with her grandkids and getting a notification on her phone that she'd made a sale. That's not luck. That's a smart system giving her back her time.
But a truly great business is about more than just smart systems. It's about integrity. This story from Jacqueline is just wow. She found out a product she was recommending was actually kind of shoddy. She didn't just ignore it. She went back, removed all the links, and made a new video warning people not to buy it. She literally chose to protect her community's trust over earning a commission. That is how you build a brand that lasts a lifetime.
Okay, so this isn't all just theory. Let's look at some real people. People just like you who decided to take that leap. Their stories are all the proof you need that this isn't just possible, it's that your turn is now. So meet Carl Churchill. The 2008 recession hits, he loses his job. He and his wife take this huge, scary risk and cash out their 401k. They start a coffee company, Alpha Coffee, right out of their basement, and they grew it into this amazing business with 2 actual storefronts. For them, a crisis became a catalyst.
Or how about Jaswant Kular? She started at 60. All she wanted was an easy way to teach her daughters her family's traditional Indian recipes. Well, that little passion project turned into Jaswant's Kitchen, and her spice blends are now sold in over 100 stores. She turned her heritage into a legacy.
These stories just show that your big idea can come from anywhere. For Rowena Montoya, it came from a crisis. Her family's finances took a hit, so she took her hobby of making caramels and turned it into a real business. She bootstrapped the whole thing, and today, Julienne Caramels is a national brand. And I want to leave you with this thought from Jaswant Kular because it just perfectly captures everything we've talked about. She says there's no way she could have done this when she was younger. She credits her life experience as the secret ingredient. It's not about what you've lost over the years. It's about everything you've gained. It is finally your turn. So I'll leave you with that. You have the experience, you have the wisdom, the perspective, and the data shows you're actually more likely to succeed now than ever before. So the only question left is, what will you build? Thanks for joining me today.